So I'm making my Halloween dress, and I'm at the point on the sleeve where, I have to deal with that little slit and then you connect the cuff. Well, it's the part that I always make a mistake on. So I thought I'd film it and we could all see if you guys end up with a couple of great tips or if I ultimately get tricked. So, welcome to Tip or Trick Tuesday. So this right here, this is the sleeve that I'm working on. And you can see there's really no markings down here at the bottom. And so what I need to do is I need to trace that little V area where I need to cut a slash into on that. There's a couple of ways that you could actually do that. What I'm going to use for this one is this white chalk. It's just a clover chalk pen. And you can see it just leaves the chalk on there. It wipes away pretty easily. It also comes in blue. Yeah, maybe I should use the blue. That looked really good. And then every now and then, I'll pull out one of my friction pens or markers, and I'll actually draw the lines on with this. Friction pens disappear with heat, but you have to be careful because they can reappear when it gets cold. So if you're making something that you're going to wear outside, like a winter coat, I wouldn't recommend using that because the moment it gets cold, you're going to see those lines. Okay, so grab the pattern piece. This is piece number 8, and my sleeve here is right side up, so it's facing me. And then what I like to do with this is I like to mark the very edges and then that top, and then I'll connect it with a ruler. Okay. So now I have the 2 edges and my points up here. I'm going to connect it with a ruler to get my lines. Okay, so there you see the actual lines that I made. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew right along this line. I'm going to take 1 stitch coming over this way and then I'm going to sew right back down on that side. Oh no. I'm going to remove all of my stitches and then I'm going to go to sleeve number 2. Okay. So my pattern piece right here is right side up. Make sure that all the notches and everything match up with your pattern because you don't want to put this stitching in the wrong place. And now you can see there's my chalk line. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this to the sewing machine and we're going to sew right up this leg, come across here 1 stitch, and then we're going to come right back down. Okay, now it's time to grab your scissors and be super brave. We're just going to snip right on up to that 1 little stitch that we made at the top, but do not snip through it. See? There you go. Now what you want to do is you want to grab your seam gauge, set it at the 1/4 inch because we are going to flip over 1 edge here, measure it out, and we're going to iron this one side down. All right, now that we have that, we're going to attach it to our sleeve. So what you want to do now is flip your fabric so that the wrong side is facing you. You want to pick up this middle piece here, kind of get it out the way because our goal is to get this line as straight as possible. Now you're going to pin the right side, which in this case is the shiny side for me, to the wrong side of your fabric. So this is what we have. I have it all pinned on this side, and if you turn it around, you can see that it's also pinned on this side. Let me just fix this a bit. Now we are going to stitch a 1/4 inch all the way across this. Okay, So now that we've got that stitched down, we are going to stitch along the same exact stitching line, and we're going to try to not get a pucker. So we're gonna basically follow this line, come up here, and then across. Try not to sew in a pucker. And so now what you see is we have our continuous lap attached. So that way when we fold this back over to encompass that raw edge, you'll have this beautifully cased. Okay, so now that we have the continuous lap attached to our shirt, what we're going to do is we are going to fold it over to the right side. So overlap it all the way across, put your pins in, and then we're gonna sew really close to the edge here. And there it is. Go press that. Okay, so go ahead and press this out. And this is what you should have. Now what we need to do is we need to baste these little babies right here, these little legs down. Okay, so now that you got your little legs pinned, we're gonna baste across the edge of this, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna deal with this part up here. When you're basting, you wanna use the longest stitch possible. You don't need a back stitch or any of that because you want this stitch to be removable. Okay, so now that we have these edges, hang on, I can't deal with all of this, 1 second. Okay, so now that we have these ends basted, what we need to do is take this piece and we're going to sew it at a diagonal, coming up this way. So now that we have that diagonal stitch, you can trim away all the extra threads. And when you bring this back in, it's going to help that to lay flat. Like that. And there we have it. Apparently this is going to get folded down this way, which means that these basting stitches need to come out. Okay, so the basting stitches have been removed. These things have been pressed to the right direction, and now it's ready to get inserted into my bodice. So that's what they look like. Okay, so now that that little slit in the sleeve is done and that continuous lap is on there, I'm ready to move on with the rest of the dress. It was a little painful, it took way too long, and I think that ultimately I got tricked. I'm not worried about it though because I know that it's over and the rest of this thing is gonna come together quickly. Well, thanks for hanging with me. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and ring that notification, that bell notification, so that way you know the next time a video is posted. Well, until next time, I hope that you have a wonderful day. Bye.